3. That's the magic number for Matt Rule. Everywhere he's been, year 3 has been his breakthrough season. Year 3 at Temple, he goes 10-4, makes the conference championship game. Year 3 at Baylor, goes 11-3 with the Big 12 title appearance. Had he won that, would have been in the college football playoff. And now, in year 3, at his third school, will his third season in Lincoln be his breakthrough year? That is what we are here to answer today. Before we get to that, let's take a look at what happened last year. There's a lot of excitement surrounding Nebraska football heading into the season. I feel like we've been talking about that for the last decade. Every year, Nebraska could break through, Nebraska could have a big year, and they've continuously fallen short. But this year feels a little different. And maybe it's because they finally got over the hump last year. Finally got back to the postseason for the first time since, 2016? Going 7-6. They had a 5-1 start, but went 2-5 down the stretch with 4 one-possession losses, making it 26 one-possession losses in the last 5 years alone. But they did win their bowl game over Boston College, clinched a winning season, and now they have tons of momentum and tons of talent coming back in what could be this breakthrough season. Take a look at offense. This has a chance to be one of the best offenses Nebraska's had in years. 10 starters are back. New offensive coordinator Dana Holgorsen, who's a brilliant offensive mind, and yes, he did coordinate the final 4 games of the season, but now a full offseason and a full year under his belt. Dylan Raiola, that's the guy we're watching out for, right? The freshman phenom last year threw for over 2,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Got to improve on his decision-making, got to improve on just taking care of the football, but does have a lot of upside, and I do think a full year, full offseason working with Dana Holgorsen, I think we'll see quite a bit of growth. They got him some help. They added Dane Key, the leading wide receiver from Kentucky. They added Nazia Hunter, coming in from California, had nearly 600 reception yards with the Golden Bears. Backup quarterback, or former quarterback to say, Heinrich Arberg, has converted from quarterback to tight end, which I think was a phenomenal move. And Emmett Johnson might have a breakthrough season of his own. Nearly rushed for 600 yards last year and has a fairly solid offensive line to run behind. So Nebraska offensively, as they struggled these last few seasons, could really take off in 2025. The defense was extremely underrated last year. Only gave up 19.5 points per game. Only gave up 101 rushing yards per game. But now they do lose 3 of their top 4 tacklers from last season. They have a new defensive coordinator of their own, John Butler, being promoted internally, going from secondary coach to the defensive coordinator, and the secondary is strong. Guys like Deshaun Singleton, the number 2 tackler last year, returns in the secondary. Marquez Buford returns. Malcolm Hartzog returns at nickelback, who had 4 interceptions last year. The front 7 is my biggest concern for Nebraska. A lot of missing pieces on the defensive line and the linebacking core. Yes, they replaced them with a lot of transfers. This front 7 was phenomenal last year. They need to get relatively similar production this year, because if you can put together a whole defense, secondary I'm not worried about, put together that front 7, this team could be dangerous. Take a look at what the Cornhuskers going up against. Let's take a look at their schedule. We believe they can have a breakthrough year. The schedule lines up relatively well for them. They're hosting Michigan. They have to go on the road to Penn State, but they're hosting Iowa. But you look, they're avoiding Oregon. They're avoiding Ohio State. Avoiding some of the other big dogs within the conference. So this could shape up to be something special. I'll tell you right now, I think they start 3-0. I think they start 3-0. The only trap game or tricky game there is the season opener in Kansas City against Cincinnati. And Big Red, the Nebraska faithful, will be showing up big for that one. And the Bearcats are no slouch, right? 15 starters are back, including their star quarterback, Brendan Sorsby. But their defense gave up over 160 rushing yards per game last year. You've got a veteran running back in Emmett Johnson. You've got a strong offensive line against this questionable Cincinnati rushing defense. I just don't see Cincinnati being able to stop this Nebraska team. I think Nebraska has their way with them on the ground. That's going to set up some big passing plays from Dylan Raiola. The Cornhuskers win that, and they'll cruise past Akron and Houston Christian. That's going to set up the big Michigan showdown, right? I think if Nebraska wants College Game Day to possibly be there on the 20th, if they want this game to have all the hype that we've made it out to be in the offseason, they've got to start 3-0. This game against Michigan feels like the turning point, right? It feels like this could be, if they win it, would be showing it could be a breakthrough year under Matt Rule, right? Almost like the signature win, the most important game, one might say, for Matt Rule in his young tenure in Lincoln, right? And Michigan's a winnable game. Sure, they got some questions. Bryce Underwood coming in as a freshman quarterback, number 1 player in the country, but still a lot of unknowns there. Losing a lot defensively from last year, but granted, the guys that played in the bowl game last year against Alabama are mostly all coming back this year as well. So Michigan's a winnable game, but it's a tough game. And I think a lot of people are going to pick Nebraska in this spot thinking, look, they're hyped, they're good, they're at home. I can't do it. I cannot pick Nebraska here. I'm going to pick Michigan to win this massive, massive game. Maybe one of the most important games for Nebraska football in a very long time. And the reason why is this. Nebraska has not proven to me, certainly not under Scott Frost, and certainly not these last 2 years under Matt Rule, has not proven to me they can win the big game, right? They were 0-6 under Matt Rule against ranked opponents. 0-6 against ranked teams. They're 4-5 at home in Big Ten play. So despite how much we like to hype up Nebraska and how faithful their fans are, it's not that tough to play there right now. At least it hasn't been in a while. They're not getting the job done at home. They're not defending home field very well. I think Michigan's got a very good offense, and by this point in the season, they'll have worked out any issues with Underwood. I think the defense could be one of the best in the country, and I'm just not ready to pick Nebraska to pull off a massive upset and get that signature win, whether it's on the road or at home. Not ready to do that just yet. So they will lose to Michigan. They're 3-1. They come out of the bye week, and they get two of what I think are the weaker teams in the Big Ten in Michigan State and Maryland, and they'll win both of those. They will win both of those. They will be 5-1, just like they were last year. They get off that strong 5-1 start. They should cruise past again the Spartans. Homecoming, by the way, for Nebraska. It'll be their homecoming game. And then on the road at Maryland, who has a million questions on both sides of the ball, should be able to win that one as well. So 5-1, just like they were last year. The question now is, will they go 2-5 down the stretch like they did last year, or will they actually win a little bit more? So coming out of that, they go on the road to Minnesota. And things aren't going to be looking good, right? They're going to lose this game. Big time trap game for Nebraska. They're riding high. Things are looking good. But if you really think about it, they haven't played anybody. Cincinnati is decent. Michigan, they're going to lose that game. So if you're looking at the 5 wins they have, the best in Cincinnati, and that's not that much to brag about. So Minnesota, a true test now on the road. And again, only going to be their second true road game of the season at this point. The Golden Gophers, per usual, flying under the radar. They've got a underrated quarterback in Drake Lindsey, and if he pans out, this offense could be something special with Darius Taylor and a solid wide receiver core. The defense, always strong under PJ Fleck. Expect nothing less heading into 2025. This just feels like a major trap game for Nebraska. I'm not quite sure that Raiola is going to make the best decisions against this stingy of a defense. They will drop the game to the Golden Gophers, but they will bounce back, clinch bowl eligibility with a home win against Northwestern. So they will be going to back-to-back bowl games, but I feel like this year that's the bare minimum. Right? Like, yeah, sure, you want to go to the postseason, but like if they finish 6-6, that's not going to be good enough. That's a major disappointment. But they're 6-2. They've got 4 games left. Still time to build on that. And 6-2 still has them in playoff contention here. If somehow they were to win out, you could make an argument for Nebraska to get in the playoff. And for the time being, they're going to keep those hopes alive because I think they're going to beat the 2 LA teams. I think they're going to beat USC at home. I think they're going to beat UCLA on the road. USC, to me, does feel like a bit of a toss-up game. Could go either way. And I know the Trojans are going to be much better this year, even though they weren't that bad last year. But the difference to me here is finally home field advantage. I think Nebraska finally does defend their home field here against what could be a ranked USC squad. But also their secondary. Nebraska's secondary going to be very, very good. Very stingy. And we know how much Lincoln Riley likes to throw the football. I think this game's close. It was close last year. USC pulling away late, 28-20. Scored a late touchdown to get that cover and an 8-point win. But now on the road at Nebraska, the Cornhuskers riding high, maybe well rested after they cruise past Northwestern. I just feel like the opportunity is ripe for Nebraska to finally get maybe the signature win, to get the big home win. They take care of business against USC. They are 7-2. They'll beat UCLA. Revenge for last year's loss at home. They were upset at home as like 7-point favorites to the Bruins, losing 27-20. They don't let that happen again this year. UCLA's offense still going to go through some issues. The defense going to be solid, sure, but I think the running game can get a little bit going for Nebraska, similar to that Cincinnati game. Get the run game going to set up the pass for Raiola. Revenge on their mind. Clearly a lot to play for. They're 8-2. Who would have thought, right? 8-2, get a bye week. So you're 8-2. Late November, we are talking possible playoff for Nebraska. We're talking possible Big Ten title. 2 conference losses, depends on what everybody else does, but we're talking a very special year, the breakthrough year under Matt Rule. The unfortunate thing for Nebraska is look who they get out of that bye week. At Penn State. And that will be a loss. That will be a loss. So any hopes of the playoff will go away. It'll be a top 15 matchup if this pans out. Top 15 matchup, everybody's going to hype it up, but I think Penn State takes care of business. I'm not going to say easily, but takes care of business convincingly. This team is a true national title contender. They've got everything you want in a football team. I just don't see many teams, if any teams, being able to beat Penn State this year. And if they do, it's going to be very, very close. I think Penn State's going to dominate the majority of the opponents they play. Nebraska falls short despite the week of rest in Happy Valley. And then I think a little hungover after the Penn State loss. Little hungover, maybe seeing that their playoff hopes have vanished. They lose to Iowa. And I know Nebraska fans may not want to hear that. You might be disappointed with that, but you have not proven that you can beat Iowa very regularly, right? You've lost to them back-to-back years by the same score, by the way, 13-10. They've lost the last 6 to Iowa at home. Last 6 to Iowa in Lincoln. So again, home field advantage, not that important there. They lost 9 of the last 10 overall to the Hawkeyes. I just don't see them getting it done. I don't think this Iowa team is going to be that great this year. I think they could be fighting for their bowl lives coming into this game. More incentive for them. But Nebraska, hungover, not being able to really get over the hump against their rival who's owned them. That plays a mental factor as well. The Iowa defense shows up, shows out, forces Raiola into some mistakes. Nebraska drops that game and finishes the year at 8-4. 8-4. To me, a solid year. This would be their first 8-win season since 2016. Almost 10 years since Nebraska won 8 games. They do it this year under Matt Rule. Is that considered a breakout season for him? Does that continue the breakout streak like he did at Temple, like he did at Baylor? I don't know. That's up for Nebraska fans to decide. Obviously, you'd love to beat Iowa and be 9-3. You'd love to find a way to beat Minnesota or somebody. I think 9-3 would be phenomenal. Obviously, you're rooting for 10-2, 11-1, whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Nebraska's playoff caliber yet. And you got to keep in mind, this is assuming everything goes well. 26 one-possession losses for Nebraska in the last 5 years. Some of these games that we have as wins will be one-possession games. So we've got them at 8-4, but that's assuming they can close out games. Could be a little bit worse if they're unable to do that. But right now, I like the 8-win mark. I think this team is capable of doing it. Matt Rule's got a great track record. He's got some good coordinators. He's got the most talent he's had, I think, since he arrived in Lincoln. And he's got a relatively favorable schedule to go with it. The Cornhuskers get back on track, become relevant once again. Back-to-back winning seasons. First 8-win season since 2016. But it's up for you to decide if that's good enough or not. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, home to tons of exclusive content there to help you get through this offseason and content you're not going to want to miss once the regular season starts. So go check it out. The link for it all in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.